Hey Vinayak, awesome work on the, what's it called, mining challenge here. I wanted to give you a little bit of feedback. It's really awesome to see this in action. And I want to suggest some ideas, and they're totally open for discussion because I think we need everyone's feedback on this one. So I'm going to press start here. And now it says I'm mining, starting off. It's a little bit abrupt. I kind of see the numbers here ticking up on the right. I think the first change I would make here is, let me see, I'm just going to change the interval at which the numbers change from 500 milliseconds to 40. And then, you can see it just feels a lot more responsive here, like, the numbers are really ticking up. One of the things that's not right here is that we don't have any transactions confirmed because we haven't actually validated or mined any blocks. I'm also wondering if the hash power should stay consistent because technically we have a computer running, and I'm not sure if if a computer creates consistent hashes. Is it like, okay, this computer has 45,000 and it's always like that, or does it actually fluctuate? That'd be interesting. Maybe you know this. Be just kind of interesting to figure out if that happens, because right now this kind of hops back and forth quite a bit, which looks a little goofy. So some changes here that I was thinking about, it was really about breathing a little bit more life into this whole thing. So here's something that I was wondering if we could do, or that I would just get feedback on. So here's the starting point. So I'm going to go back to the website. So here, everything is lit up, everything is enabled, and we have the start button. So I was wondering if we should move the start button into the miner. So the text says, see if you can turn on the miners. And then we have a turn on button, which is very, very visible, so should not be difficult. So that's like, I'm not just starting, but I'm turning the miners on. So I kind of, it's a little bit more direct. And then all the other UI elements, they're just black with 50 or 25% transparency, just dimmed out. And once I press turn on, I think it would be great if this copy here on the left, instead of instantly switching, if it briefly fades out, new copy fades in. So now I've pressed turn on, the button changes to running, keeps the same width here. And then some other, I wanted to make it a little bit more direct what's actually going on here. So you can see it shows me hashes per second, and 4 of these segments here are lit up. There are a total of 40. So later on, when I 10x the capacity, which you also see this disabled button here, that then the dots just go all the way. And be cool if they didn't instantly go all the way, but maybe one turns on like 25 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds after the other. So it's like a staggering thing. It's like the machines are ramping up, which is not really how it works, but it's kind of might be a nicer effect here. So it feels like, you're just working your way up. The blocks found, transaction confirmed, because earned are still disabled because we haven't found anything yet. That way we can guide the user's focus a little bit better. So I press turn on, it's running, none starts ticking up, hashes per second, now has maybe a static value, maybe it fluctuates a little bit. And I also added this indicator here. So that tells me, that shows the current hash. So these numbers hash could just constantly change. And it can be just a random generator. It doesn't have to be real hashes because, probably wouldn't even make sense here to calculate that. But so we just kind of, instead of just seeing the nonce and we having to tell you that you're creating hashes, you actually see the hashes. You can't read them but that's not even important. You just see this thing just changing super, super quickly with every nonce increase. And then to the right is an indicator, which at the beginning you will not know what that means, but it just says, this is not what we're looking for. And that will become more clear after, I think right now you've set it to this process to 2 minutes maybe. Like something like 30 seconds or so, or maybe even less would be a little bit better. So this one here now stops after 2 minutes. So once that happens, blocks found just up because we found a block. Everything stops. Miners pause basically. This turns green, indicate that we found one. This turns into a checkbox. So all good. button goes back to turn on from running, and transactions confirmed at Bitcoin earned. And it'd be nice if those also fade from black transparent to opaque and their current colors. And maybe the transactions also, instead of just instantly going to 2000, it just kind of ticks up very quickly. It counts up, and then the text here on the left fades out, fades in, and then this is basically an explainer here of what happens to the right. With this nouns, we found this hash, this is what we're looking for. Now let's mine a few more blocks, turn the miners back on. I need to press turn on again. So as you can see now, I'm really interacting with this area. And then, it just kind of keeps on going, just keeps ticking up, keeps going through nonces. And whenever we found a block, this could just flash very quickly to green. So the hash and this checkbox just quickly flashes to green and then goes back to the next one. And then, these numbers here up here should also tick up accordingly. Note that I've changed Bitcoin mined to Bitcoin earned because we are including fees and Coinbase rewards now. And it has to be fairly low because in the future, you're not going to get 17,000 Bitcoin out of this. It'll be a smaller amount, but still nothing. Okay, and then at the end, the effect here is a little bit different. It's just a little bit more colorful. It's just less black and white as in the previous one. Then we found 1,000 blocks, bar turns green, everything pauses, 10x is, oh yeah, I forgot the 10x one. So basically at some point the 10x one becomes enabled, uses the same style as turn on here. And then, the bar goes back up and we finish hashing. I changed the button here from continue to tell me more. It's just a little bit more direct, and I changed the style to the white outline button that we already have. So here nonce and hashes are highlighted. I press tell me more. These become de-highlighted. Transactions confirmed gets highlighted. We got the explainer for that. Then Bitcoin earned, and then the final one, and then we move on to the next thing. So I also looked into turning this into more like an object, this thing with shadows and lighting and all of this stuff, but it didn't feel right. Doesn't feel like that worked with everything else. So it still kind of mostly works with these floating elements in this digital UI, but there's just a bit more color and more detail overall. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Let me know what you think. You don't have to instantly hop onto implementing this. I would like to hear feedback if others could also use what you implemented and just play with it, get a feel for it, and then react to what's there and maybe my design suggestions, and we can figure out what changes we want to make. So hope that's helpful, and thanks for